So I think what you're witnessing in these relapsed vegans are folks who had a very powerful meat dependency spawn, and they're still having trouble getting past it.
What's going on YouTube? Klaus here. We're in New York City outside the Hilton Hotel because I've been lucky enough to be invited to an amazing plant-based event called The Real Truth About Health. I'll link their page and their website down below. Please visit their page if you want to hear some amazing plant-based talks. Earlier today I was honoured to speak to Dr. Michael Klaper. We've had him on the channel before and he was an amazing guest and interviewee again today. We spoke about ex-vegans like Body Rebecca, we spoke about the upcoming film The Game Changers, and we also spoke about the rise of the carnivore diet. I really think you'll enjoy the interview. Please enjoy and I'll see you soon. Dr. Klaper, thank you. Thank you so much for doing this interview. I really, really appreciate your time.
What's up, everybody? What's going on out there, guys? Little impromptu stream. Wow, we got a bunch of people in the chat. I didn't even announce this. We got loads of people showing up. What's up, guys? Thanks for showing up. Dr. Michael Fartface, Trav, Blubbersphere, Bendywet, Travis, or Patrick Wood. We got a bunch of normals, a bunch of regular viewers, not normals, right? Anything but normies in our chat here. We got Derek. What's up, Derek? Derek, who's a certified meat addict. He's been on the show for he's been on the show a couple times. Nice to see you here, Derek, my friend. All right, guys, we got it. We got the truth. We finally have the truth on why vegan diets seem to be failing so many people. Our buddy Dr. Klaper is going to woke us to the issues about veganism that none of us may have considered. And we're going to learn the truth about meat today from Dr. Klaper. Spoiler alert. The Crypt Keeper here, Dr. Klaper, says all kinds of crazy, stupid shit. That's just freaking hilarious. So, Dr. Klaper's serving up a big bowl of lol soup for everybody here. But first of all, we got to learn about the good doctor. Dr. Michael Klaper, born 1947, an American physician, vegan health educator, and conference and event speaker. An author of articles and books of vegan medical advice. He advocates rearing children on vegan diets throughout their entire lifetimes, beginning with the vegan mother's pregnancy. So, of course, Wikipedia is not a definitive source on anything. Everybody who's had any, basic education understands that Wikipedia is not the greatest source. But here's his Wikipedia, guys. Let's just take a few looks at some of the basics about Mr. Michael Klaper. Now, he is consulted with NASA, so you know what he says must be true. He works with some of the most reputable organizations in the world, like NASA, and also the North American Vegetarian Society. He graduated from medical school and then practiced acute medical care and eventually became certified in urgent care medicine. Well, that's pretty cool. Urgent care medicine, pretty interesting. Urgent care medicine. I used to go to the urgent care once in a while when I would get really bad asthma attack as a kid. Now, when I was a kid, urgent care basically meant that you only have to wait like an hour or so to see a doctor. You get to see a doctor that's not yours. You usually get to see that doctor for a good 3 to 5 minutes before that doctor signs a piece of paper that tells you which antibiotics to take. That was my experience, at least, with urgent care physicians growing up. But got nothing against doctors. The medical system is obviously flawed. Some would say broken. But, urgent care physician, maybe he's saving some lives. Maybe he's doing some good in there. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. There's some interesting points here. Yeah, he practiced in Maui, Hawaii. So, living on the mean streets of Maui from 95 to 2006. Practiced medicine in New Zealand from 2006 to 2009. Then he relocated to Northern California. He was a staff physician and medical consultant at the nutritionally based True North Health Center in Santa Rosa. All right, so his books include Vegan Nutrition, Pure and Simple, and Pregnancy, Children, and the Vegan Diet. So first thing I'll say, concerning Dr. Klaper's bio here. I absolutely disagree, emphatically, that children, pregnant women, and even young adults should ever try a vegan diet. The fact that this man is recommending women to have vegan pregnancies, it just seems absolutely insane to me. But hey, it is what it is. Maybe we don't need these crucial fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K2. Maybe we don't need vitamin B12. Maybe the deficiencies in zinc, iron, selenium that usually come with vegan diets aren't a problem in our modern world. Right? Maybe I'm kind of being facetious here, in case you're not catching my drift, because anybody who's studied nutrition, anybody who's studied some of the most important works, shoot, even in anthropology, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Dr. Weston A. Price, one of the most important nutrition and anthropology books of the 20th century, where he found they're traveling throughout the world, traveled all over the world, looking at the diets of people who were not adopting the modern Western processed food, junk food, plant-based diet. And he found that these people had almost a total absence of the modern degenerative diseases that we see now. Right? They had well-formed jaws. They had a jaw. Right? These kids had well-formed faces. They didn't require extensive dental work. They weren't getting massive dental caries. Their bodies were not weak and frail. They were strong. Right? And these weren't just a few different groups. I mean, he went to the Pacific Islands. He traveled and witnessed populations of Inuit. He went to Switzerland, the Hebrides Islands as well, and some Scottish populations. He looked at some African populations. The one thing he found was that as soon as these populations started adopting the so-called plant-based diets, or the diet that Weston Price called the diets of commerce, the foods of commerce, these Western foods, the processed grains, the processed carbohydrate, as soon as they introduced those into their diet, their health deteriorated. So you would see within the first generation of the introduction of the Western diet, massive amounts of dental caries. And as we've talked about over the years on this channel here, the reason we got into a high-fat ketogenic diet was through trying to figure out how to stop our daughter's dental caries. Because pre-conception, we were on a primarily plant-based diet. We thought that that was what was good for our bodies. We thought you didn't need that much meat. After experimenting with a vegan diet for a little bit, we decided, well, you obviously need a little bit of meat, but maybe not as much as everybody makes us think. Sure enough, when our daughter's baby teeth, they call them the milk teeth, when those started coming out of the gums, they were dissolving. You see the same thing in the vegan population these days, right? Our buddy Lil Frankie Frufano did a video about a vegan's kid's teeth falling out. I think he put it out today. A vegan's kid's teeth falling out. Now, I didn't see the video, but as somebody who's been around the block a few times, as somebody who's been around a lot of people who fed their kids vegan diets, as somebody who's lived in several areas where there's a very high percentage of the population that do experiment with things like vegan vegetarian diets, the damage that I've seen done to children is ridiculous. Now, I'm of the opinion that a vegan diet is child abuse. If you're going to feed your child a vegan diet, they will be nutrient deficient. And you are depriving them of some of the most vital nutrition, some of the most important foods that human beings can consume. So this dude here says, keep them off those foods. Let's see. It had some controversy. In 1993, Klaper issued a medical certificate for the insurers of two movies that River Phoenix was working on at the time, Dark Blood and Interview with the Vampire. The certificate was signed by both Klaper and Phoenix and stated that Phoenix had never used LSD, heroin, cocaine, alcohol in excess, or any other narcotic, depressant, stimulant, or psychedelic. At the time, Phoenix was deeply into the drug scene and died from an overdose 2 months later on October 31st, 1993. Phoenix's death resulted in Dark Blood being scrapped and his role in Interview with the Vampire being replaced by Christian Slater. A total of $5.7 million was paid out by the insurers of both movies as the result of Phoenix's death. Since Phoenix's death, insurance rates have increased significantly. Medical certificates are no longer accepted, and actors are required to undergo more rigorous medical examination prior to being insured. Wow, that's a funny one, because this same doctor, Dr. Klaper, would later on be involved with River Phoenix's brother, Joaquin Phoenix. All right, so he was later on involved in several films that Joaquin was also involved in, such as Earthlings. There you go, Earthlings. So that's kind of funny. So I guess he was Joaquin Phoenix's brother's physician, and then worked on some of these films with Joaquin Phoenix. If I'm not mistaken, I think Joaquin Phoenix might have been involved with Cowspiracy as well. I know Leonardo DiCaprio was, but I'm not sure if Joaquin Phoenix was. But anyways, that's trivial. Doesn't have anything to do with the man's information. But interesting nonetheless to look at the history of this dude. But let's get back and hear what he has to say about plant-based diets. So he's talking to Klaus from Plant Based News here. Klaus is just kind of a shining example of it's the toxic masculinity problem we have today. So bear with Klaus's extreme toxic masculinity, and let's hear what Dr. Klaper and Klaus have to say about the carnivore diet, have to say about ex-vegans, hashtag never really vegans. We'll see what they got to say. Trigger warning. These dudes say all kinds of stupid shit. Let's get into it.
I've got loads of stuff I want to ask you about today, including the game changes, which I know you've seen, tips for people that have gone from being vegan to eating meat, and lots of other stuff. First up, though, I want to talk about the carnivore diet, which is something that's kind of trending on YouTube. A lot of people...
The fear in his eyes. Like, we got to see that again. We got to see Klaus just thinking about the carnivore diet. The carnivore diet. Check out his eyes. Look at the vibe just switch as soon as he thinks about it. Let's go on.
People that have gone from being vegan to eating meat, and lots of other stuff. First up, though, I want to talk about the carnivore diet, which is something that's kind of trending on YouTube. A lot of people, or one or two people. A
lot of people, or one or two people. Don't name them, Klaus. They who shall not be named. Look at the fear. Look at his quivering lips. All right, let's progress.
YouTube claim that eating an all-meat diet, often organic meat, is really, really healthy for them. What's your take?
Right. Some of the most common health-damaging foods that people eat are oils, olive oil, coconut oil, etc., flour products in baked goods, etc., and dairy products. And these carnivore diets, they eliminate the oil, the dairy, and the flour products, and people feel better, no question about it. They lose weight, trim down, and that's what you're seeing. But this is an early beneficial trend from removing these toxic substances. The problem is we are not carnivore.
It's like watching a little child listening to his daddy like explain away some illusion, right? It's like, Daddy, do monsters exist? Daddy, tell me the monsters don't exist. Please, Papa Klaper, Dr. Klaper, tell little Klaus that the carnivore diet people are so wrong. All right. So far he said nothing. He's basically said meat's damaging, meat bad, carnivore diet bad, bald man bad. So just the typical narrative. But let's see the science that Dr. Klaper gets into. See him soothe Klaus's troubled mind.
Carnivorous apes, we are not house cats or mountain lions, and you keep packing that colon full of meat 3 times a day for 6 months, a year, 5 years. This is a great way to give yourself colon cancer, great way to set off autoimmune diseases, great way to set off colitis in your colon, great way with all the fat to give yourself type 2 diabetes.
Okay. Wow. All right, where do we even start? Let's see. I'm having some lag issues. That should be better. I don't even know where to start. So he's saying that meat causes colon cancer. This has never been proven. This has never even been close to being proven. This claim that meat gives you colon cancer. Meat gives you colon cancer. Meat gives you diabetes. The fat gives you diabetes. Now, there's a smidgen of truth to this, and a lot of people will be shocked to hear this. All right, now, when you look at diabetes, you're looking at an energy metabolism issue. Fat in the blood will cause insulin resistance. All right, so the presence, the high level of fat will cause peripheral insulin resistance. Now, when we get into ketosis, when we start a ketogenic diet, our body will stop sending glucose. It will become insulin resistant in the muscle tissues. This is called peripheral insulin resistance. Physiological insulin resistance. Now, this is very different from pathological insulin resistance. In a low carbohydrate state, we're burning fat. We require some glucose. The body's going to siphon off the glucose we need, put it into the brain when it needs it. All right, there are certain cells like astrocytes that actually require glucose. The body's so damn clever. The body is designed so intelligently that it knows what to do with these macros. All right, so the abundance of fat and the absence of carbohydrate creates physiological insulin resistance. Your muscles will not want to take up glucose because you're saving that glucose for the brain, parts of the brain, and other parts of the body, other cells within the body that will require glucose. What else did he say? Let me just back it up a minute. Let's see.
Colon cancer, great way to set off autoimmune diseases.
So, meat causing autoimmune diseases. What an interesting claim. Right, now this must totally ease Klaus's mind after Klaus has been witnessing for the last few months vegan YouTuber after vegan YouTuber admitting the autoimmune diseases, the autoimmune conditions that they got while eating a plant-based diet. Right? Issues that these people never had before. Issues with their skin, their digestion. Major health issues that were not there before, but become incredibly prominent in their lives and almost ruin their lives on a vegan diet. Guess how these people are putting into remission? Why don't you ask Klaus? Because Klaus knows. Klaus knows that the plant-based diet isn't working for everybody. The carnivore diet is what these people are going for. These people end up pulling out all the fiber from their diet. This fiber that Dr. Klaper is claiming is necessary to keep away your colon cancer, right? This fiber which gives indigestible sugars, this fiber that puts indigestible material into the gut, that bacteria, foreign bacteria, will have to break down and digest. This fiber that many people are not able to utilize very effectively. These people remove that fiber. They do a total elimination diet, eating nothing but meat, and guess what? So many of these people are seeing their symptoms go away. Many of these people are seeing total remission of their autoimmune condition, like Mikhaila Peterson. So we talked to Mikhaila Peterson. She's been doing a carnivore diet for like a couple years now, or maybe just like a year. Anyway, she was having major autoimmune condition. She, for her whole life, was suffering, right, in loads of pain. She was on Oxycontin as a young girl. As a high school girl, they had her doped up on Oxycontin just to keep the pain down from the massive arthritic flare-ups that she was getting. She had to get a hip surgery. She had to get a hip replacement and an ankle replacement at a very young age. I think before the age of 18. Guess what? Mikhaila Peterson got off all the plants, got off the Soylent slop diet, and found that the only food she could digest effectively was meat. So you're full of shit, Dr. Klaper. Let's see what else you got to say, though.
It's a great way to set off colitis in your colon. Great way.
Colitis, another thing that many people who are using a carnivorous diet are putting into absolute, complete remission. Right? So anybody can check out Dr. Sean Baker. Shout out to Dr. Sean Baker. Been on the show a couple times. He'll come on again pretty soon. Got to see what Sean's been up to lately. He's got meatheals.com, where there are thousands of testimonials. And of course, the vegans will say, well, that's just anecdotal. Well, then Dr. Klaper, he's going to drop some anecdotes later, right? The only real evidence he proposes in this entire video is anecdotal. He his own anecdote. How interesting. But you can check out meatheals.com and see all these people who are putting their colitis into remission by removing the plants. No, I'm not saying plants are bad. I'm not saying everybody should do a carnivore diet. No one in the world that I know is saying everyone should do a carnivore diet. Right? You got certain people promoting carnivore for different reasons. You got people like Dr. Sean Baker promoting carnivore, and he's just eating ribeyes. You've got Amber O'Hearn, been doing a carnivore diet for 8 years now. I think maybe 9 years. Total carnivore, 9 years. She's not worried at all about grass-fed beef. You know, we promote using grass-fed beef here. Definitely prefer promoting restorative agriculture, people actually getting connected to the production of their own food, right? Homesteading, stuff like that. That's something that we promote. But a lot of these people out there are not even doing that. They're just eating grocery store meat and getting great results with it. So, made the mistake of pulling up the chat and just seeing all of it flashing by. What's up, everybody in the chat? Slow down there. I don't have time to read all this. But anyways, these people who are removing a lot of these anti-nutrients from the diet, you know, things like oxalates, histamines, salicylates, phytates. These anti-nutrients can have a devastating effect on the human body. Now, something like oxalate, which some of these doofuses out there like Goji Man will say that, well, we're supposed to have gut bacteria to break down the oxalate. But when you actually look at the human population in the U.S., most people don't have the oxalobacter bacteria to break down oxalate at all. All right, so these people are always making false claims to try to apologize for their nutrient-deficient diet and make it seem like it's good for us. And of course, when all that fails, then they say, well, it's good for the animals and it's good for the planet. It's the planetary health diet. All right? They fall back on big industry's Trojan horse of, we're going to save the world from climate change. If you all just stop eating meat, stop having babies, and live in our smart cities, then we'll get rid of the nasty, naughty climate change boogeyman. Right? They bring up the emotional sentiment, the propaganda terms, because there's nothing to stand on. This guy just listed like 5 scary-sounding diseases that are not caused by meat, never been proven to or shown to be caused by meat, and several of the things that he mentioned, people are using an all-meat diet to get rid of. But let's move on.
With all the fat to give yourself type 2 diabetes, nobody's ever lived on a carnivore diet for a year or 5 years or 10 years. These people do not know what they are talking about.
Speaking of people who do not know what they are talking about, we just talked about Amber O'Hearn has been on a carnivore diet for like 9 years. How about Shalene Anderson, who's been on a carnivore diet for 20 years and raised her boys on a carnivore diet? Her husband's also been doing a carnivore diet for 20 years. There are many people who have been doing it for a very long time. What are you talking about?
This is a totally unproven, bizarre way to nourish the human body. We are not carnivorous apes. And people who stay on it, well, you can't stay on this diet. The high-protein diets injure the kidney. High-protein diets.
Another thing. Very, very, very easy to debunk. Let me just recommend anybody who's concerned about kidney health on a carnivorous or low-carbohydrate diet. Check out Dr. Sean Baker's podcast episode on human performance outliers with Dr. Jason Fung. Dr. Jason Fung is a nephrologist. He's a kidney specialist, right? He's a kidney specialist. And he very effectively lays out the facts about kidneys and protein. Spoiler alert, protein doesn't hurt your damn kidneys. There's absolutely no proof of this at all. So yet another lie.
They're toxic to the kidneys. These folks are writing themselves a ticket to the dialysis machine. I read this article about this guy who did a carnivore diet for a month and he felt good. That's 1 month, 30 days. I say you go back and see this gentleman after 6 months of eating like that, a year, 18, 2 and 24 months of eating like this, you're going to see a very ill man with sick kidneys and probably an early colon cancer brewing in his colon. This is not a healthy diet for Homo sapiens. And plus the audacity to say, oh, this is the best diet, everybody ought to be eating that. Are they talking about a flesh-based diet for 8 billion people 3 times a day? What an error.
8 billion people 3 times a day. So again, when the health argument fails, what do they go back to? Straw man. That's a total straw man. No one's saying everybody should eat an all-meat diet, dude. Not a single person is out there saying everybody should eat an all-meat diet. What we're out there doing is showing you that you don't need plants in the diet, that you people don't have a high ground when it comes to the health claims or the moral claims. Right? And we're seeing so many people suffer from a vegan diet. Just look at vegan YouTube. Right? I mean, look, all of health fitness YouTube is basically a mental illness beauty pageant. Vegan YouTube is a special little gem of degeneracy where you can see people literally starving themselves into oblivion. I mean, look at Freely. Look at some of these people. Right? This is not a healthy human diet. It is leaving people withered. It's leaving people broken, both mentally and physically. It's leaving people depleted of fat-soluble vitamins, of nutrients, of B vitamins. And it's leaving their guts absolutely thrashed. But you think babies and kids should go on it. And little Klaus over here, grinning like an idiot, is just lapping up everything you're saying. But let's move on. Dr. Klaper, what other bullshit do you have to spit at us down? Let's hear it.
Arrogant, elitist, outrageous, planet-destroying approach to nutrition. It's totally outrageous, both on a physiologic level as well as an ecological level. It's a dead end of nutritional history, and the sooner it ends, the better we'll all be.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
No, that wasn't powerful at all. That wasn't powerful at all. There's not even any heart in the dude, right? Like, what is he even saying? He's telling you what you want to hear, and you're just wrapped around this dude's finger. Look at Klaus. All right, let's keep going, Klaus.
Can you kind of give a couple of broader reasons, though, why people shouldn't have like a low-carb ketogenic diet?
Those were all broad reasons. What are you talking about? Some more broader reasons why people can't do a ketogenic or meat-based diet. I'm sorry, Klaus just cracks me up, right? He's really funny. Like, as a character, Klaus is freaking hilarious. He just gave broad reasons, and they were all incorrect. All the man is doing, Klaper, all he's doing is throwing out terms that are emotionally loaded. He's throwing out a bunch of emotionally packed, charged language about feeding the planet. And he's talking about all these diseases that you're going to get from meat. Right? Doesn't reference how or why. Just says you're going to get these diseases if you eat meat. There's absolutely no scientific evidence to back up meat causing colitis, diabetes, cancer. What else did he say? All of these neurodegenerative diseases. I'm not sure what else he said. Or autoimmune conditions. That's what he said. Not a shred of evidence for this.
Our body has the ability to slip into the state of ketosis, which means that we're burning fats for fuel. And it's a useful and necessary physiologic adaptation. A million years ago on the African savannas, I'm sure our ancient foraging ancestors would have to go 4 or 5 days before they found the next berry bush with fruit on it. And these enforced 5-day fasts were probably the rule. And our body slips into the state of ketosis, and the body conserves energy, it cleans out old cells. It's a healthy thing to do for a short period of time. And so I'm all for people doing these brief intermittent fasts once a month for 4 or 5 days. A brief spell of ketosis is fine. The problem is that we're Americans, and if a little is good, more must be better. And so if 5 days in ketosis is good for you, well, how about a month in ketosis? How about 3 months? Let's stay in ketosis. Well, ketosis is a state of stress. Those ketones are acidic. It's a state of low-grade acidosis.
All right. So, and this is, I mean, these are all patently false, right? So ketoacidosis is very different from ketosis. In type 1 diabetics, there is a state called ketoacidosis when the insulin is not, the pancreas is producing zero insulin at all, right? And then you get runaway blood glucose production, runaway gluconeogenesis. At the same time, you're getting runaway ketogenesis, right? The body is going haywire. In this case, you might see high ketone levels. I'm talking like 10.0, like 10 millimolars per liter. Or is it deciliter? I think it's millimolars per liter. 10 millimolars per liter as opposed to like, 0.5 to 1.52 like most people are seeing when they're on a ketogenic diet or maybe a carnivore diet. So he's intentionally mixing this up. He's intentionally telling you something that has been debunked for decades, that ketosis equals ketoacidosis. No, it does not. Ketosis is not creating this nasty, gnarly, acidic blood in you. That's patently false. The body will maintain a narrow bandwidth of ketones. It's like saying fasting is acidic, right? Same guy, he's talking about ketosis is great, fasting is great, but if you're on a ketogenic diet, it's stressful, it's acidic. This is nonsense. Okay, so blood acidity, blood alkalinity is very tightly controlled. The only time you're ever going to see something like so-called ketoacidosis is in type 1 diabetics. So Dr. Klaper is intentionally misleading us here. If he doesn't understand that he's misleading us here, then he's retarded, right? As a doctor, he should know this. As a doctor who's trying to help people, he should at least understand what's going on. And shoot, as somebody trying to debunk something, he should at least try and use some valid arguments. But this is how dumb they think their audience is. This is how little respect plant-based news gives to his audience. And this is how little respect Dr. Klaper has for the people listening to him. Well, I've got news for you guys. Not all of us are dumbasses. Right? Not all of us will fall into your little pit of lies. Right? Some of us understand what's really going on here. Ketoacidosis is not ketosis, buddy.
It's a stress on the bones, on the liver, on the kidneys.
A ketogenic diet, ketosis is actually very, very beneficial to the liver, by the way.
This is not a state you want to stay in for long periods of time. And we've just lately learned that the real magic for the body is not in staying in ketosis, it's coming out of ketosis. When you've been in ketosis about 5 days and then you start eating the vegetables and the glucose and the phytonutrients sweep through your cells, whoa, your stem cells wake up from this suspension that they've been in from the fast. They start putting out better, less injurious antibodies. They build new, better white cells. It's the coming out of ketosis that is really healing from the body. It's not staying in ketosis week after week after week. They've got the science misunderstood severely. So whether it's a vegan ketogenic diet or an animal-based one, it doesn't matter. You don't want to stay in ketosis more than 5, 7 days, 10 at the most, and then come out of it with a healthy diet. We are carbohydrate-burning organisms. Our mitochondria burn glucose, not fats. Our preferred fuel is sugars from whole plant foods, and if you eat that in a nice, light, healthy, whole food diet, you won't need to do a whole lot of fasting. You're not going to develop high blood pressure or any of these diseases. So eat whole plant foods, and most of this becomes academic.
Eat whole plant foods and you're not going to have any problems. Meat equals bad, you're going to die if you eat meat, but hey, eat whole plant foods and everything's going to be okay, little classy boy. How dumbed down is this? He gives absolutely no real argumentation at all. Just propagandistic skewing of the terminology and intentional misleading of the audience. I mean, this is pretty I don't know, it's pretty silly if you ask me. You know what's interesting though, thinking about it, guys like plant-based news are very, very concerned about low carbohydrate diet, and especially the rise of this heretical carnivore diet, right? This diet It's not even a real diet. Right? When you say diet, the diet, there's 100 different ways of doing a carnivore diet. Check out my video where I said, I think it was called, There Is No The Carnivore Diet, or The Carnivore Diet Doesn't Exist. Right? There's 100 different ways of doing it. There's no one The Ketogenic Diet. Right? There's 100 different ways of doing a ketogenic diet. But the reason a lot of these vegans, and the reason plant-based news in particular, is very concerned about ketogenic diet is because the narrative that's being pushed for veganism, for a plant-based diet to be rolled out with global dietary guidelines per like the Eat Lancet group, who just recently published their suggestion that we push a planetary diet, planetary health diet, right, on all the continents of the world, on all the people of the world, effectively solidifying big agriculture's grip on the entire food supply. And that's why groups like Nestle, Kellogg, Tyson Foods, Bayer, Monsanto now, Cargill, are all putting money into actually pushing these plant-based dietary guidelines. So if you guys want to look into this a little bit deeper, check out my recent stream with Belinda Fettke, where we talked about the Eat Lancet Commission and exactly what's going on here with this push for planetary dietary guidelines that are plant-based. All right, so they say that it's for health, and they also say it's for sustainability. Why is plant-based news so worried about a ketogenic diet? Well, what's interesting about keto, what's interesting about carnivore, is these are actually true grassroots movements, right? These aren't some little scarf-wearing soy boys who are being paid by Saudi princes to put out content here. We don't have Saudi princes funding Primal Edge Health. We don't have Saudi royalty funding our operation here like Klaus. And we're going to get into that in a moment too. We're going to talk about exactly why plant-based news is putting out all this beautiful content for us to laugh at. What's going on is the ketogenic diet proponents, the carnivore diet proponents, are truly grassroots. These are people who are concerned with their health, who are taking their health back, who are not becoming dependent on processed foods, on supplements, and on pharmaceutical drugs. In fact, a lot of people are getting off these pharmaceutical drugs. A lot of people are getting off all their supplements. A lot of people are leaving diminished or their deficient vegan diets and coming to an enjoyable way of eating. And this threatens the interests that push this propaganda. So what's this talk about Saudi princes, Tristan? What the hell are you saying, dude? Saudi princes and plant-based news? Well, let's get into it, guys. Plant-based news. Got plantbasednews.com. Check it out. PBN, Plant-Based News co-owner Khalid bin al-Walid to open animal-free sea life experiences in Saudi Arabia. Prince and PBN co-owner Khalid bin al-Walid has partnered with National Geographic Encounters to open a number of facilities for virtual sea life experiences throughout Saudi Arabia. Well, that's just amazing. How enlightened, guys. Animal-free sea life experiences. All right, so come hang out in the animal-free sea life experience. What do you mean animal-free sea life experience? Well, the co-owner of Plant-Based News is Khalid bin al-Walid. Khalid bin al-Walid owns KBN Ventures. He is a Saudi prince, vegan Saudi prince. Khalid al-Walid builds cruelty-free office in his Dubai investment company, KBW Ventures. So this is the guy who's funding plant-based news. You know what else he's also interested in? Well, he's also very interested in investing in things like Memphis Meats, a fake meat company. Let's see here. Memphis Meats, a fake meat company, and also Just. So he's involved in these so-called clean meat companies, and also a vegan collagen business. Well, that sounds innocuous, right? What's also interesting is KBW Ventures is also heavily involved in the pushing of the Eat Lancet Foundation, the Eat Lancet Commission. They're involved with, I believe they're involved with the Fresh Group, which is in junction with the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. It's a mouthful. All right, so this person is heavily involved in pushing the rollout of plant-based dietary guidelines for the whole planet. Investing in Memphis Meats to bring you clean duck and chicken meat, meaning fake duck and chicken meat, meaning duck and chicken meat that is grown in a laboratory in Silicon Valley, meaning the destruction of animal husbandry, the further erosion of your ability to actually feed yourself off of the land. These people not only want to push a vegan diet for everybody, they want to grow you meat in a lab and ration it to you, because that's sustainable, because he cares about the planet, right? So Prince Khalid Al Walid is the son of Al Walid bin Talal, Prince Al Walid bin Talal bin Abdulaziz Al Saud of the House of Saud. A member of the Saudi royal family, this man actually sold a yacht to the current president of the United States. Back in the 1980s, he sold a yacht that was once used in a film. Forget which Bond film it was, but this yacht was actually used as a Bond villain's yacht. This guy is a major shareholder in Twitter, owns part of the Plaza Hotel, owns Paris's Four Seasons Hotel George V, the second largest voting shareholder in 20th Century Fox. He's Citigroup's largest individual shareholder. We have a multinational investment banking Saudi prince bankrolling plant-based news. How crazy is this, right? So this is the dad of the guy who's running KBW Venture. This is his grandfather right here. He recently passed away. He was born in 1931, and this prince headed the Arab Gulf Fund for Development, a UN body that promotes education and health in developing countries. Isn't that funny? There's another article on him. Who is Al Walid bin Talal, the absurdly rich Saudi prince just released from mysterious imprisonment? Here's another article from 2012 from Business Insider. The dwarf-throwing billionaire who's buying up America. Tales of the mysterious Prince Al Walid. Vanity Fair's William D. Cohen has an excellent long article on dwarf-tossing billionaire Prince Al Walid. Cohen's feature references this story, which we broke early last year. Our story, written by Nicholas Carlson, follows. So this dude has been involved in all sorts of crazy stuff. His son, one of the richest princes in the world, is out there using daddy's money to help set up investment schemes all over the world, especially out of Silicon Valley, though, for the next stage of this so-called sustainable development agenda that we're seeing rolled out, right? Which includes plant-based dietary guidelines, which they're all over. And pretty crazy. A source says that at one of the parties Al Walid would throw in the desert, he threw $100 bills into a bonfire, encouraging the dwarfs to run into the raging fire and pull the money out. Another time in 1995, according to a source, Al Walid taught the dwarfs to say, "My way or the highway," and said he would pay the one who said it best some large sum of money. Mostly the dwarfs served to entertain Al Walid in that kind of silly manner. So, this guy, what a great proponent of animal rights, right? His dad likes to toss midgets and dehumanize dwarfs. And little Prince Al Walid is out there funding plant-based news. Let's see what Prince Al Walid's childhood was like.
This brother and sister are the world's ultimate hot young royals.
Prince Al Walid has himself described his relationship with his children as a laissez-faire relationship, which basically means they can do and have whatever they want.
They're the most hooked up little aristocrats you'll ever meet. Sorry, Wills, when the fabulous life of young hot royals continues. 29-year-old Prince Khaled and 25-year-old Princess Reem of Saudi Arabia. They're two of the richest, most talked about young royals on Earth today, thanks to their super fancy daddy, His Royal Highness Prince Al-Walid. Because the old man isn't just the nephew of Saudi King Abdullah, he's an international investor sitting on an estimated $20 billion fortune. The one thing Prince Al-Walid likes more than making billions? It's making sure his young prince and princess have it all.
They are my fingers, my brain, my mind, and my heart.
Because these are Prince Al-Walid's only children, he's really doted on them their entire lives. They're an extremely close-knit family.
Prince Al-Walid has himself described his relationship with his children as a late...
Out of words.
Then there's Prince Khaled. His high-priced pastime isn't fashion, it's luxury rides. And he's got some wheels that you won't believe.
Top, down, chrome spinning. Prince Khaled inherited a lot of things from his father, but first and foremost was a passion for automobiles. When he was 14, his father gave him a BMW, and 2 years later, when he was 16, he received his first ever Lamborghini.
At just 28, this prince has more than 200 cars in his royal garage, including this $155,000 BMW M6 with 20-inch gem-encrusted wheels, this $400,000 Mercedes CLK DTM AMG that's one of only 100 ever made.
Speed.
And a Bugatti Veyron, the fastest production car on the planet with a top speed of 253 miles per hour and a sticker price of nearly $2 million. But speedmobiles aren't the only superfly rides for these young royals. Hardly. When Khaled and Reem hit the skies, they're buckling up in their family's personalized jumbo jets, both named for the prince and princess. When they set sail, it's in Dad's mega yacht, the nearly 300-foot Kingdom 5KR, and it's personalized for them too.
Prince Al-Walid owns one of the biggest yachts in the world. It's called Kingdom 5KR. Kingdom is the name of his company, 5's his lucky number, and K and R are the initials of his children.
But even the most lavish travel can leave a prince and princess feeling road-weary. Luckily for Khaled and Reem, they've got a cushy place to crash, because these kids both enjoy their own private wings inside this place. Daddy's massive 460,000 square foot, 317 room royal residence, with 200 servants on call to cater to their every whim.
Alright, so I think you guys get the point. What do you guys think about this grassroots revolution that little Klausy boy here and Prince Prince Khalid. Prince Khalid, the son of Prince bin Tal al-Walid. You think these people care about you? You think these people care about you? Now, his father's also been tied to the Clinton Foundation several ways. Accused of all sorts of crazy stuff, right? You know, 200 servants serving them in their lavish home. But little Prince here is also the president of the Saudi Humane Society, right? The Saudi Humane Society. Now, I wonder if the Saudi Humane Society looks out for the midgets that little Prince Khalid's papa likes to abuse and toss. So that's just a little look at who's behind the funding of plant-based news. How silly is this, right? The stockholder in the sand. This dude's dad owns He was the second largest shareholder in News Corp in 2013. I'm not sure if he's still holding that. Owns hotels, spends $558,000. I don't know what is that, euros, on a week holiday in Turkey. And there's little Princey behind Daddy. Look at Daddy with his selfie, taking selfies on his bike, cruising with his homies. And there's little Prince Khalid behind him. One of Saudi Arabia's richest men. You know how rich some of these dudes in Saudi Arabia are. You know how serious these people are about their businesses. All right. Now, you think there might be a conflict of interest? Let's keep going.
Mentioned that people don't need to do like fasting on a whole food plant-based diet. What positive benefits have you experienced from a plant-based diet?
When I first adopted a whole food plant-based diet, my body loved it. Within 12 weeks, a 20-pound spare tire of fat melted off my waist, my high blood pressure normalized, my high cholesterol normalized, and I felt great waking up in a nice lean light body every day. And it was a ringing validation that this is what this body should be eating. And in my medical practice, when I had patients who were overweight, high blood pressure, diabetes, put them on a whole food plant-based diet, the same transformation happens. The obesity melts away, the arteries open up, the high blood pressure comes down, the joints stop hurting, the asthmatic lungs stop wheezing, the migraine headaches go away, and they turn into normal, healthy people. It's the greatest health transformation I've ever seen, and it makes medicine fun to see your patients get healthy.
And in terms of the people that you've treated, can you mention maybe an awe-inspiring transformation that you've seen that maybe would best like showcase the beneficial effects of a whole food plant-based diet?
I served on the staff at True North Health Center for 8 years in Santa Rosa, California, and I remember distinctly a gentleman in his late 50s, a physiotherapist, actually came in with such bad clogged arteries he could not walk across the courtyard without turning gray, holding his chest and taking a nitroglycerin tablet because his angina was so bad. We did a brief water fast and then put him on a really lean, clean, whole food, plant-based diet. Within 2 weeks, he was walking around the building, and within a month...
It's a guy recovering from a heart attack. They gave him a starvation diet, and he was walking around after 2 weeks. This is his amazing transformation. Some dude that was dying from a heart attack was walking after 2 weeks. Come on, buddy. We're going to skip ahead a little bit here. Let's see. So anyways, to recap, he strawmans the carnivore diet with a bunch of falsities, right? It says that eating meat causes colon cancer, colitis, autoimmune conditions, and diabetes, all of which are patently false. And then he says, but a plant-based diet's amazing. I just see it so amazing for all these people. It was so incredible that this dude started walking after not walking for 2 weeks. Right? After 2 weeks, 2 weeks after a heart attack, this guy started walking again. Oh, miraculous. Hallelujah. Praise Dr. Greger. You can't make this stuff up, guys, but let's move on. Let's jump forward a little bit. There's a couple minutes of boringness in there.
And if you eat meat 3 times a day through infancy, childhood, through adolescence, puberty, through your teens, your 20s, your 30s, you eat animal flesh 3 times a day, you're going to get dependent upon the carnitine, creatine, the muscle-based nutrients that are coming in with the food. Your body makes them, but if they've been coming in pre-formed 3 times a day since infancy, what are your genes going to do? They're going to down-regulate their own production of carnitine and creatine because it's coming in pre-formed 3 times a day. Well,
so there's no nutrients you need in meat. Your body can make carnitine and creatine, he says. Now that's really fun. All right, so the carnitine thing, chronic carnitine deficiency can lead to depression, inability to properly burn fat, all sorts of issues. Not only, the sarcopenia, the turkey neck stuff that you see in a lot of these people. Dr. Klaper here included. Right, but saying that your body can just make creatine, no problem, that's pretty funny. You actually need, I think you need lysine, both lysine and methionine to synthesize creatine. I could be wrong, but pretty sure you need lysine and methionine to synthesize creatine. Now that's pretty funny that he would say you could just synthesize it, right? You could just make all these vitamins and minerals. What about DHA? What about EPA? What about B vitamins? What about zinc? What about manganese? Copper? I guess manganese wouldn't be much of an issue. But he's sweeping so much under the rug here and making such a ridiculous statement. Let's see where he goes with this. This whole, you can make everything. Your body can just make the carnitine and creatine. If you stop giving it, your body will just make it.
Well, that works as long as you're still eating it. Of course, you're brewing up a bunch of different diseases along with it. But if you suddenly then stop, you go see Forks Over Knives, or you read John Robbins' book and the plant-based light goes on, and you stop eating flesh suddenly, well, your body's still looking for those preformed nutrients. Now you got to make them all on your own. Now, most people can gear up their genes and their enzymes to start synthesizing their own carnitine, creatine, but some folks might be a bit slower. Might take 6 months or a year before they're really manufacturing that, and they get meat cravings. And when
Okay, so the reason vegans crave meat is just they haven't done it long enough. What about these vegans who've been doing it for like 10 years? Their body's falling apart, their mind's falling apart. They've already detoxed all their teeth. They've already detoxed all their testosterone, their hair, their sanity. And then they eat meat and they light up. The symptoms go away. They stop having suicidal depression and they feel better. I guess that just doesn't count, right? That is so ridiculous, though. If you just give it longer, you'll stop craving the meat, he says. That is a straight up lie. Why are all these vegans constantly making fake meat? Why is Prince bin al-Walid, why is Prince Khalid what is he again? The Prince Khalid is the co-owner of Klaus's YouTube channel. He's the co-owner of Plant Based News. His Royal Highness Prince Khalid bin al. I wonder if Klaus calls him His Royal Highness. I wonder if Klaus kisses his rings. Plant-based investor and entrepreneur, His Royal Highness Prince Khalid bin al-Walid talks ethical business, inspirations, and challenges. This guy's invested in fake meat companies, lab-grown meat companies. But I guess that's just because we're trying to help people get off their addiction to the toxic drug of meat, right? It's kind of like the fake meat is kind of, it's like methadone, right? It's like methadone for all of us meat addicts. Right? For all us meat junkies, we're going to get that methadone Beyond Burger. We're going to get that methadone clean meat, meaning fake lab-grown meat that's grown using the same technology they use to grow human tissue cultures. That's sustainable, right? A $30,000 fake meat burger is sustainable, but me having a couple sheep in my yard is killing the planet. We got to run into the smart cities, right? We got to go move into Neom in Saudi Arabia, which I'm sure Prince Khalid over here, I'm sure he's got his hands all over that Neom project in Saudi Arabia. If you guys haven't seen the Neom, N-E-O-M, this is Saudi Arabia is the place where they gave Sophia, the AI. This is all just too crazy, right? Saudi Arabia is the country that gave a robot human rights. They gave Sophia citizenship. Now you have Prince bin al-Walid, Prince Khalid, pushing for animal rights, planetary, dietary guidelines for plant-based diets, and liberation of the animals. You're giving robots human rights. Now you want to give animals human rights. How insane is this? All right. Let's move on. I'm getting all triggered looking at Prince Khalid over there. Let's see what Dr. Klaper has to say. Dr. Klaper, known on the streets as the Clap.
When they eat meat and that preformed carnitine, creatine washed through their tissues, whoa, I feel great. Vegan, schmegan, man, I'm a carnivore. I need my meat. And they do, but this is not normal human physiology. This is an acquired dependency created by feeding a human infant animal flesh 3 times a day in infancy.
So eating meat is just a dependency. This is just something that we've been trained to do. It's not natural. It's not natural for us to eat meat. Just like you said earlier, it's like normally we would have had to fast maybe 5 days before we would find a berry bush. As if you can live off of berries. You know how high in oxalate most berries are? Come on. Come on, Dr. Klaper. Dr. Klaper. Let's see what else.
Primate does that. No gorilla does that. No bonobo does that. We didn't used to either. We used to raise our kids on oat gruels and things.
On oat gruels and things? We used to raise our kids on Soylent slop and Beyond Burgers.
Back throughout American history, the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, people lived on farms. And
look at how he's looking around because he knows he has no idea what he's talking about here, right? This dude's lived in Maui for like the last few decades. This dude's sitting around on Maui, just raking in the dough from all his bullshit books he's selling you. Dr. Klaper.
May have had pot roast on Sunday and fish on Friday, but that was it, man. You ate out of your garden the rest of the week. You ate cabbage stews and potato soups. You didn't go killing your chickens every night for buffalo wings. You run out of chickens pretty quickly there. This flesh-based diet is just since World War II. We've been rich enough to indulge this.
And this is, all right, so this is absolute bullshit. So as far as in the U.S., we didn't just start eating meat after World War II. In fact, the meat production or the meat consumption, the animal food consumption has declined dramatically since the First World War. In the Second World War, you had the government telling people to grow victory gardens, right? You had the rationing of food products. You had this massive military-industrial complex that had to swallow up agriculture and create big ag. Now, this big ag behemoth didn't really come about so quickly. It didn't come about right during World War II. But after World War II, in the Reconstruction period, big ag really took form. Right, when you had like the Rockefeller Foundation pushing the so-called Green Revolution, selling patented varieties of seeds, well, eventually patented varieties of seed, but at first selling pesticides, fertilizers, massive machineries, all coming with a nice hefty IMF World Bank loan to these newly developing countries and to the reconstructing countries of Europe. The U.S. big ag system wanted to export their products, their patented products, to the world. Klaper has no idea what he's talking about here concerning the history of agriculture in the United States. Anybody who's interested in actually understanding how we came to see, or how this, big agriculture, big agribusiness, how big agribusiness destroyed family agriculture. Read Seeds of Destruction by F. William Engdahl. Seeds of Destruction. It's not that long. It's not a very long book, but very, very in-depth, very well documented. Try to prove him wrong. He cites all of his sources very, very well. So F. William Engdahl, thank you for that book. You are a scholar and a gentleman. Unlike Dr. Klaper over here, who's weaving a big web of bullshit and lies and deception. But let's continue.
This flesh-based diet is just since World War II. We've been rich enough to indulge this. And so we've created the whole generations of folks who are really dependent upon animal flesh. But this is not normal human physiology. I've seen 3 generations of children raised as vegans, and they turn into lean, healthy, bright people who don't have meat cravings. Their mouths don't water when they walk past a barbecue. These are healthy folks. They're physiologically different folks. So
name one. 3 generations of vegan? Show me one. Because every single vegan that I have met since 2010, since 2010, In the town that I live in, there have been quite a few people who came here as vegans. I have since seen every one of them abandon a vegan diet and go back to eating animal foods. After their health tanked, they did it right. They were taking the supplements. They were doing whole food, plant-based, and it doesn't work for anybody. All right, sure, I'm sure there's some people who can last pretty long. One of my friends, my buddy Carl, he lasted pretty long. He went at least like 7 or 8 years on a vegan diet until he started getting sensitive teeth. Started admitting to himself the digestive issues he had. His wife was having major issues as well. He finally went back to meat after a long, drawn-out battle inside of himself. And now he realizes what it was, right? He straight up says, like, that was a religion for me. I was crazy. I was a zealot. And he's eating meat again. There's only one person that I've met on my journey here over the since 2011, right, when I ended my short-lived experiment of trying out plant-based diets, right? I went about 2 years kind of in and out of thinking maybe a plant-based diet could work. Always made me feel like shit. The last straw was when I felt like I was freaking dying after like a 6-month stretch of having no meat. Right? No animal foods at all, just a little bit of cheese now and then, but I felt guilty, right? Because I thought I can do it. I feel good. I'm telling myself I feel good. No, it didn't end up working. My health tanked. I had to look at it objectively and say, you know what? This is idealistic and it's just not working. There's only one person that I've met over the that I met in that period of my life, right, back in like 2010, 11. There's only one person who's still clutching on to like a vegan diet. And unfortunately, this person is like on the brink of death right now. So, I mean, of course, this is just total anecdote, right? But that's what Dr. Klaper's given us. He's given us nothing but propagandistic, loaded terminology. Ketoacidosis, gonna give you cancer, gonna give you colitis. No evidence at all. Actually completely contradictory to the evidence that's available. And now he's given us anecdotes. 3 generations of vegans. What vegans? Show me one, dude. Show me these 3 generations of vegans.
I think what you're witnessing in these relapsed vegans are folks who had a very powerful meat dependency spawn and they're still having trouble getting past it.
Let me read one.
Physiologically different folks. So I think what you're witnessing in these relapsed vegans are folks who had a very powerful meat dependency spawn and they're still having trouble getting past it.
What we're noticing with relapsed vegans, the relapsed vegans, he's calling them relapsed vegans. How funny is that? So let's pull in the drug addiction, let's pull in the AA terminology, right? You relapsed, you vegans, you relapsed on your drug, on that meat drug. On that meat drug. Look at that manly neck on this dude. I mean, I don't know how old he is. Maybe he's like 90 or 100 years old and he looks great for his age. But the information the guy's giving us is crap. A lot of people in there are talking about his eyes looking kind of dead. Like they're saying he's got no energy, saying he looks sickly. You know what? He might be really old. Maybe he's doing well on his diet. But the information he's giving is absolute trash.
In these relapsed vegans are folks who had a very powerful meat dependency spawn and they're still having trouble getting past it.
Apparently, every single generation in the history of mankind, every single culture in the history of mankind, they just had a meat dependency. They didn't know, but they were addictive to meat. They were totally addicted to this toxic compound called meat. This toxic compound called meat that gives you nutrients you're not going to find in any plant food. You're not going to find vitamin B12 in any plant food. You're not going to find significant amounts of vitamin A, vitamin K2, vitamin D in plant foods. Yet, this man says you're just addicted to them. I guess, yeah, we're addicted to them like we're addicted to life, right? You know, I mean, all those billions of people, they're just addicted to breathing. They're just totally addicted to life. If they would just give up the breathing, give up the life, we could create the sustainable utopia where there's no people, no toxic people breathing their toxic CO2. And we're just addicted to air. We're addicted to oxygen. We're addicted to water. Come on, buddy.
I tell them that, you know, if you have to eat meat once a week for a while, you know, just stretch out the time in between and eventually your body gears up so you don't need this stuff. I had meat cravings for years after I became vegan. And
Of course you did. Everybody has meat cravings because meat is one of the most crucial foods for us to eat. We need meats. Look, I know you vegans are coming from this religious viewpoint. You want to create this utopia where there's no death. Right? You want to recreate the Garden of Eden. You want to recreate it through your diet. You want to worship the idols of the cows, the crickets, the cats. You want to save all these animals and you want to stop death. Right? You want to live forever. Unfortunately, you're not going to do it by eating a bunch of kale. Right? It's the same old snake oil sales. You shall be as gods. You shall live forever. You shall surely not die. Doesn't end up playing out that way, does it?
It really bothered me. And for a short period of time, stretch out the time in between, and eventually your body gears up so you don't need this stuff. I had meat cravings for years after I became vegan, and it really bothered me. And for a short period of time, I went back to having some fish to see if it would make any difference in my physical being. Didn't. But it was a strong meat craving. But it was mostly just that chewy, salty texture I craved more than anything else, I think. So if people have to...
Listen to him deceive himself, right? How sad is this? I craved meat for years when I started a vegan diet. I craved meat for years. We know you did, dude. All vegans crave meat. But it's just the texture. You're just addicted to the texture, he says. Right? It's a drug. And when you detox from the drug, you no longer crave the drug. But he tried it a few times and he realized that it's just the texture, right? Keep telling yourself that, Doc.
Dabble in that for a little while. I don't condemn them, but I say don't linger there either. Get on with phasing that stuff out of your diet as expeditiously as possible.
It'll be cool to ask about a question we've been asking and collaborating with a lot of physicians on. The title of the video, which we're going to publish pretty soon, is called "What Happens to Your Body When You Eat Bacon?" I know it might sound a bit stupid, but everyone in the mainstream loves bacon. So yeah, what happens to your body when you eat bacon?
Well, there's several problems with bacon. When you say everybody loves bacon, no. Everybody may love a salty, chewy, kind of sweet texture in their mouth is what they really like. And I've seen vegan versions of that. But at the cost of eating that salty, chewy, kind of sweet substance on a frequent basis, as it puts this cooked, fried animal protein down in your intestines. It's full of oxidizing agents that will oxidize cholesterol in your blood and injure your artery walls, setting up for heart attacks and strokes. And smoked meats and these kind of preserved meats have been shown to be a class 1 carcinogen.
Okay, so they were declared to be a likely carcinogen by the UN, by the WHO, based on the most paper-thin evidence you could possibly have, based on epidemiological evidence that was absolute shit, right? Debunked 1,000 different ways from Sunday. Kresser has some good articles on the debunking of this. I think Zoe Harcombe does as well. Let's see where else he goes with this.
And if you are eating it on a regular basis and those carcinogens are smearing on your colon wall day after day after day after day, that's a great way to brew up a really aggressive cancer of the colon. This is not human food. This is a novelty food that we tease our taste buds with. But as far as what it really does in the body, it's a great way to give yourself artery disease and colon cancer, and should not be viewed as a health food by any stretch of the imagination.
Thank you for the concise answer. The next question is quite a big topic, but if you could try and answer it in a minute or two, that would be really good. It's basically, why do physicians and healthcare systems...
Okay, don't you love how Klaus just fawns over this man? Klaus wants Dr. Klaper to give him the clap. Klaus is loving it. He's eating it up. Let's skip forward a few minutes and let's get to some more juiciness here.
There's a film coming out which I think will make a big difference. It's called The Game Changers. I know you've seen it.
You can't even say game changers without grinning like a fool, right? Oh, the game changers. So if you don't know about the game changers, apparently you haven't been paying attention to all these little LARPing vegans on the internet. So the Game Changers is the coming messiah of veganism. It is a big Hollywood documentary made by James Cameron, right? Made by James Cameron. This big, expensive Hollywood documentary. I don't know what other celebrities are involved in it. You know what's funny about Game Changers, though? Several of the athletes featured in this documentary are already not vegan. Tim Sheaf was in this documentary. Maybe the reason it's not being released is they're having to go back and fact check if any of the people in this film are still vegan. Many of these athletes, so-called athletes, have dropped the vegan diet after it didn't work for them. And I think this documentary was filmed a year or two ago, and they still haven't put it out. It's all about the money. All right, so maybe they're waiting until a little bit later in this year after the climate change propaganda has come full circle. You know, they're going to pump out all sorts of propaganda this year concerning plant-based diets and the rolling out of this plant-based dietary recommendations or forced dietary guidelines, which is what the Eat Lancet Commission is proposing, legislating meat out of existence. So maybe they're going to wait till a little bit later in this year to publish that video so we can come with a slew of other propaganda that's being pushed. Right now, of course, we've got philanthropists like Prince Khalid here. This guy who owns Plant Based News. He's the Plant Based News investment director and co-owner. He was humbled and honored by the appointment to be the president of the Saudi Humane Society. Now, the Saudi Humane Society doesn't seem to take umbrage with Daddy Deep Pockets here, with Prince Khalid's papa, right? Prince Al-Walid, chucking midgets, throwing $100 bills into a fire and telling the dwarfs to run in there and pull out the money. Right? How satanic is that? Sitting on a bonfire and just throwing $100 bills in it, telling your little bitch midgets to run in there and pick up the bills, midgets. Look at their little sausage fingers burn. Right? What a demonic guy. This is the guy who owns Plant-Based News, also a major shareholder in News Corp, major holdings in media, owns 3% of Twitter. That's the owner of Plant-Based News. That's Klaus's boss. Hey, Klaus, do you kiss the ring? You kiss the ring, Klaus?
What was your take?
Oh, thank heavens for the Game Changers.
Thank heavens, right? It's like the second coming of Dr. Greger. Oh, Game Changers.
Is a game changer. It's a well-named movie, and I know quite a number of the folks in there. I certainly am good friends with Rip Esselstyn, and recently met Dotsie Bosch, the cyclist, and what a remarkable woman she is. And I have such respect for the people in the movie, but the people who made the movie, that was like a precise judo chop, you know, for the athletic guys who are afraid to go vegan because it turns them into.
This is what's so funny. Look how they're glowing. They're both just glowing, like their hearts just lit up thinking about a movie about telling people to go vegan. This beautiful propaganda movie is going to come out. It's just making their day talking about it. Like, how sad is that? Like, these people are glowing with joy about a Hollywood movie, millions of dollars production to brainwash people into their nonsense deficient diet. This is what these people have to look forward to, right? This is that smart city soy life. Right now, I'm sitting out here in a rural area, trying to raise my own animals, trying to teach my children valuable skills, right? Valuable skills not being vying for attention on freaking YouTube, right? Being a fame-hungry whore who'll do anything for money, right? That's not what I want to pass on to my children. Those aren't the values that I want to teach them. We want to teach them how to actually rear animals, right? You know, I mean, our kids know how to take care of chickens. Next step, taking care of the cows, right? Milking those cows every day, Those are the type of skills that I want to pass on to my children. While these people are out there frothing at the mouth, while Prince Khalid is out there frothing at the mouth at the idea of controlling the entire food supply and banning meat production altogether, meaning getting rid of rural people and crowding them in to the sustainable smart city grid, where all resources are controlled via AI, where your thoughts are monitored via social media, where all your interactions are monitored and rated in social credit systems, and where the inmates run the asylum. This is why we do what we do, right? Because there are people out there pushing to make meat illegal for the complete abolition of animal husbandry. People like Prince Khalid. Now, Prince Khalid, on his, is that Twitter or Instagram? On this Instagram, says, he posted this: in no way, shape, or form is what we're doing to animals, ourselves, and the environment kosher or halal or right or tradition. This horse shit is new to the past 50 to 60 years. We have overlooked our true traditions and values for gluttony and ignorance, and our obliviousness to allow unimagined torture and suffering is shocking to me. It's wrong and it will end. Says a Saudi prince who owns over 200 vehicles at the age of, was it 19? Or was he, what did he say? He was 29 at that point. Either way, the man owns a palace in the sand that's bigger than cities. This man owns a yacht. This man's father, rather, owns a yacht that was a Bond villain's yacht in a Bond movie. His dad tosses midgets for fun. And this dude is here virtue signaling about animal rights. It will all end. It's wrong and it will end, he says. This will stop as sure as you can get enough protein from plants. Factory farming will end. Or as soon as, he says as sure, but he meant as soon as you can get enough protein from plants, factory farming will end. Make zero mistake about it. So, of course, his goal is to support sustainable, ethical, and innovative companies. And he's promoting Memphis Meats. Fake meat. Richard Branson and Bill Gates also involved in Memphis Meats. These people want to abolish the production of food by small family farms. That's why they're working with Nestle, Kellogg, Bayer Pharmaceutical, with this group, the Fresh Group, connected to the Eat Lancet Commission, to push planetary dietary guidelines that will remove our ability to eat meat. It's not just telling us we shouldn't eat meat, guys. These people, and if you watch the talk that I did with Belinda Fetke the other day, these people want to actually abolish it. They want to legislate it out of existence. This is why we do what we do. I want my kids to grow up healthy. I want my kids to grow up and know how to pass on useful skills to their children so that their children can teach their children how to live in their environment, how to curate their environment, how to curate not only their physical environment and take care of their physical body, but also their spiritual environment. And that's why we do what we do. That's why we say eat meat, make families. While these guys are all over there, you know, prancing around saying, be a soy boy, get a vasectomy from Dr. Greger. Let's continue, though.
Was that it was a precision piece of filmmaking. That was exactly what they needed to see. So it potentially can be a game changer if it helps these big macho guys see that eating meat is not necessary for strength and athletic performance. It's performed a huge service. I think it should be shown around the world because people, I need my meat for strength, and you obviously don't. Ask any gorilla or buffalo, they'll tell you the same thing. So I'm very happy that the game changer was made, and I hope it gets very wide circulation.
I'm really, really looking forward to watching it. I spoke to Dr. Greger about it, and he saw the first draft as well, and he said it's the best, I think he said, plant-based documentary in human history. I think it's now on hold because they're working out a distribution plan, and I think they're filming Lewis Hamilton, who's a pretty big name, so it'll be...
What the hell's that?
Pretty exciting. But I had a question about...
I wonder if he got really uncomfortable because he was thinking about all the vegans who are no longer vegan, who are probably going to have to be edited out of that film. Right? They put Tim Sheaf in there. He ain't vegan anymore. Well, let's move on.
And it's given me hope for the animals, for the kids, for the planet. It really is our way through this dark, dark place that we're in as far as our personal health goes, our social situation, and the environment and the stability of our planet. It's clear that the message is coming through to us that if we want to be healthy as individuals and survive as a species, the task before us is we must now evolve our diets to a plant-based diet. For each individual person who wants to avoid a heart attack, a stroke, a cancer, start eating a plant-based diet. It's without question the way to avoid these diseases. But if there's any hope to stabilize this planet, we are, as a species, we have to see we have used meat eating up. No matter what the mighty...
So again, with the rhetoric, right? With the world's going to end, right? If I can't convince you with my gaunt face, my turkey neck, my dead eyes, if I can't convince you with that, I'll try to convince you with a bunch of propaganda about health. If you're dumb enough to bite that, awesome. If you're not stupid enough to believe what I tell you about the health benefits of starving yourself of all animal foods, which are the easiest foods to procure, right? Animal foods are the easiest foods to rear. You know how hard? You cannot have a garden and feed your own family. This is why you got people like Prince Khalid pushing veganism. Not because they want to help you help yourself. These people want to control the foods you eat. He wants to be called His Royal Highness Prince Khalid. Klaus works for His Royal Highness Prince Khalid bin Al-Walid. And look, he's so chill over there in Silicon Valley. Right? These are the people who are pushing this. Billionaires. Billionaire Saudi princes. This is the grandfather of Prince Khalid. He ran the Arab Gulf Fund for Development, a UN body that promotes education and health in developing countries. His family has been involved in social engineering for generations. People like you and I, we don't normally think about these things. We don't have millions of dollars at our disposal. We don't, rather billions, or who knows, right? Billions of dollars. Who knows how much money and physical resources and gold these people have. Right? We're just talking about what's on the books. We don't have this behind us. The reason people like Klaus are freaked out about carnivore diets, keto diets, because we are truly grassroots. These are just real normal people talking about health, talking about taking back our health. One source who left Al-Walid's employ with a letter of recommendation from the prince says that at least once Al-Walid set up a midget tossing contest, promising money to whomever could throw the little people the furthest. There were pillows. Another time, says this source, at one of the parties Al-Walid would throw in the desert, he tossed $100 bills into a bonfire, encouraging the dwarfs to run into the raging fire and pull the money out, scorching themselves in the process.
Check this out. When they want to play, they hit the palace's own $20 million entertainment complex that includes indoor-outdoor pools, a personal soccer field, and even a private movie theater with seating for 45.
This palace has everything you could possibly think of. It's said to have cost $130 million. Got a dozen elevators, 75-foot high ceilings in the foyer, and 15 dining rooms.
Come on.
But even with a house this huge, living with Dad can sometimes cramp your style. So when Prince Khalid got hitched in 2005, Pop set him up in his very own palace, a 60,000 square footer. And it's right next door, so he can hit Dad's house to do laundry whenever he wants. It's a royal life like no other. But you're thinking, what happens when the money runs out? Don't worry, it won't. Prince Khaled and Princess Reem are expected to one day run a massive family business that's sure to keep them rolling in cash.
Prince Ali runs the Kingdom Holding Company, which is a giant investment company, and Prince Khaled, his son, already works in it as a director, and Reem is expected to do the same.
I'm very proud of Reem. She can work with me.
Oh yeah, the cash flow looks unlimited for Prince Khaled and Princess Reem. With a dad who's worth an estimated $20 billion, they stand to pocket the largest inheritances of any young royals alive.
All right. Khaled, who is Plant Based News investment director and co-owner, says he's humbled and honored. Sounds like a humble dude, right? Sounds like a real humble dude.
So it potentially can be a game changer if it helps these big macho guys see that eating meat is not necessary for strength and athletic performance. It's performed a huge service. I think it should be shown around the world because people, I need my meat for strength. And you obviously don't. Ask any gorilla or buffalo, they'll tell you the same thing. So I'm very happy that the game changer was made, and I hope it gets very wide circulation.
I'm really, really looking forward to watching it. I spoke to Dr. Greger about it, and he saw the first draft as well, and he said it's the best, I think he said plant-based documentary in human history.
The best plant-based documentary in human history. Oh my goodness, Dr. Greger said it's great. You know, I mean, what world do these people live in? You really think the Game Changers is going to turn everybody vegan? Sure, a few dummies who are on the fence will buy into it. They'll throw their chips in there. Right? Oh, the celebrities are doing it. Oh, the celebrities are going vegan. Beyonce is going vegan. This is Klaus from Plant Based News. Congratulations to Beyonce for going vegan. You know, I mean, yeah, there's some dummies who buy into that. There's some people that are decadent enough to buy into that. But we're not going to buy into this shit. Right? I mean, my audience will see right through this. So it's just funny. These people act like this documentary is going to totally change their lives. It's just going to be so amazing. They're delusional. Hunter
did for us or whatever, whoever he was, he got us here. That page, that chapter's over. That page is time to turn. Fishing, we have used fishing up. We've used the oceans up. We must let them heal.
Let them heal. Level. Dude, you know how many fish all right. There's so much fish in the coast of Ecuador, it's ridiculous. There's so much fish in the coast of South America. There's so much fish in the ocean. These people talking about there's no fish left, we can't feed ourselves. They're constantly making shit up. Oh, we can't feed our population. There's a growing population. We're not going to be able to feed the population at the current rate. They said the same thing in the 1800s. Malthus was saying the same thing, and he was wrong. He was wrong. Eric Holdren in the 70s was saying that in the 1980s there's going to be piles of human corpses stacked up on each other because everybody's going to starve because we won't be able to feed the growing population. Guess what? Over a third of the food in the world gets thrown away and not eaten. Yeah, people still starve. People still get disconnected from their resources. People still have war-torn countries who other people get to profit from. But the whole of humanity is not starving to death, like Eric Holdren said, or John P. Holdren, rather. John P. Holdren and Eric, what was Eric's name? Sorry, it wasn't even Eric. Ehrlich. That's the name I was thinking of. Sorry, I'm half asleep, guys. I shouldn't be up so late. It's 10:45. Been staying up too lately doing these streams. But these people, like Paul Ehrlich, not Eric Holdren, Paul Ehrlich was claiming that we were all going to die from overpopulation and from malnutrition. He was saying this in the 60s. He was saying this in the 70s. They had him on TV talking about the population bomb. They tell you that people are bad, that you're bad for eating meat, that you're bad for being alive, that this is toxic for the planet. You know how twisted that is to raise a child telling them that the CO2 they exhale is destroying the earth and the beautiful fluffy animals that you teach them to worship in your Disney movies? Do you know how evil that is? To tell a child that they are evil for being born. This is so twisted. But these people are always bringing it back to the sustainability thing. And that's the real way that they're going to push these diets on us. Not through health, because obviously your health falls apart when you go on these diets. They're going to push them for sustainability. There's not enough resources. You better give us control of all the resources, says the World Economic Forum, the Davos elite, and these big foundations that are putting out this propaganda. Lo and behold, those same big foundations, the same people behind them, like Bill Gates, are also investing in lab-grown meat to feed you, while talking about the drastic need to reduce the population by any means necessary to reach zero population growth. And here he's just pushing this line, right? You know, being a good little boy, being a good little useful idiot for the agenda.
Saying enough. No matter what you did before, it doesn't matter. At the time, if you want to stay on this planet, take a lesson from the gorillas and the buffaloes and start eating plants. If we do...
Take a lesson from the gorillas and the buffaloes. Dude, we don't have a rumen. You know what gorillas do? They eat their own shit because they can't even get all the nutrients out of the grasses and the herbs that they're eating. Gorillas eat their own shit. Now, me, I'm not about to do that. I'm not about to start eating my own shits like the gorillas, as Dr. Klaper says. I don't know. Maybe Klaus, when he's done kissing the ring of Prince Khalid, maybe he can try the gorilla diet.
We can save ourselves. The forest will come back, so much less land will be needed. The soils will stabilize. The waters will run pure again. There'll be enough food for everyone to eat. And the greenhouse gases will be absorbed by the forests that are regrowing. It could save our futures.
So if you start eating a plant-based diet, if you eat Prince Khalid's diet, you're just going to go back to the Garden of Eden, right? The water's going to run pure. The air's going to get all clean. We'll be able to feed everybody. Feed everybody what? Feed everybody Impossible Burgers? I mean, and he knows he's full of shit when he says this. Look at this guy.
If we don't do that, I don't see much hope. As Dr. Richard Oppenlander really eloquently put it in his book called Comfortably Unaware, which is right where the meat and dairy industries want us. It's okay, keep eating your burgers. Don't worry about what it does to the planet. Keep eating, don't be comfortably unaware. And he makes it very clear that you can put solar panels on everybody's house, you can give an electric car to everybody on Earth, but unless we change our diets, unless we stop raising and slaughtering 70 billion animals every year, every one of whom is breathing out carbon dioxide, every one of them is belching out methane, they're all eating grains grown with ammonia fertilizers, putting nitrous oxide in the air. Unless we stop doing that, nothing is going to make any difference. Those greenhouse gases are going to continue to increase, and the seas are going to continue to rise.
The seas are going to rise. The volcanoes are going to explode. There's going to be fire from the sky. Because what? Let's listen to this one more time. Let's listen to what he's really saying here.
Want us. It's okay, keep eating your burgers. Don't worry about what it does to the planet. Keep eating, don't be comfortably unaware. And he makes it very clear that you can put solar panels on everybody's house.
Rewind it a little bit.
Those are the social situation. Sorry. On every level, the Earth is saying enough, no matter what you did before.
So this guy speaks on behalf of the Earth. Mama Earth, right? Going back to this Earth worship, nature worship. Earth says enough. Enough. People bad. Every time you exhale, it's toxic. You should feel guilty for every breath you take, little children. This is what they're teaching your kids. These are the people that are teaching your children. These are the ideas that are getting pumped out in media and education. Absolute genocidal mentality. Let's listen to him finish.
Matter. At the time, if you want to stay on this planet, take a lesson from the gorillas and the buffaloes and start eating plants. If we do, we can save ourselves. The forest will come back, so much less land will be needed. The soils will stabilize, the waters will run pure again. There'll be enough food for everyone to eat, and the greenhouse gases will be absorbed by the forests that are regrowing. Now, it could save our futures. If we don't do that, I don't see much hope, as Dr. Richard Oppenlander really eloquently put it in his book called Comfortably Unaware, which is right where the meat and dairy industries want us. It's okay, keep eating your burgers, don't worry about what it does to the planet, keep eating, don't be comfortably unaware. And he makes it very clear that you can put solar panels on everybody's house, you can give an electric car to everybody on Earth, but unless we change our diets, unless we stop raising and slaughtering 70 billion animals every year, every one of whom is breathing out carbon dioxide, every one of them is belching out methane, they're all eating grains grown with ammonia fertilizers, putting nitrous oxide in the air.
Huh? Are you talking about human animals? Or non-human animals, as you vegans like to say, right? Well, you're constantly trying to put animals at the same level of humans. Here he is, talking about those animals are breathing out toxic carbon dioxide, toxic CO2. Right? They're making you think that your exhalations are a toxin, equating you to animals. And every breath you exhale is killing Mother Earth. It's killing Gaia. It's killing Mama Earth. It's creating greenhouse gases, and we're feeding them grain. I can't tell if he's talking about cows or humans.
Unless we stop doing that, nothing is going to make any difference. Those greenhouse gases are going to continue to increase, and the seas are going to continue to rise. So it's past a social nicety at this point. It's our life raft. It's the way out, and it's a narrow door, but we've got to run through it at this point. And where the vegans have always been the weird, fringy folks, the truth is they are holding the light, saying, this way, you want to be healthy, you want to have your kids have a livable planet, it's time to adopt a plant-based diet by all human beings. So this nice fringe movement has turned out to really be our salvation for our entire species. And the vegans have, I think, an obligation to be as healthy as they can, to be as generous as they can, to set a good example as they can, to enjoy the heck out of the food, make some dynamite chilies and soups, and bring people along with the joy of this wonderful way of eating. And it'll become a more peaceful planet and a more stable and sustainable planet, and that'll truly give us hope for the future. Is it too late? Might be, but I don't see any other choice. And if I can, every time I see a little kid in a stroller, I feel like going over there, kneeling down and apologizing to them for what we've done to their planet. And I owe these kids.
Don't talk to my kid. Don't touch my kid, and don't apologize to my kid. If you think human beings are so bad, if you think CO2 is so bad, if you think animals are so bad for breathing, why don't you volunteer to depopulate you? Why don't you quit exhaling that toxic CO2? So this message has been brought to you by Plant-Based News. Plant-Based News is brought to you by investment director and co-owner Prince Khalid. And Prince Khalid approves of Dr. Klaper and Klaus. Cute little message here. So we have a 30-minute video, not a single piece of useful information within it. Nothing but propaganda, rhetoric, emotional pandering, and loaded language. But Papa Klaus at least eased Klaus's little mind. Or I'm sorry, Papa Klaper at least eased Klaus's little mind about that naughty carnivore diet. So I guess the moral of this story is, he says meat bad. He says meat bad, vegetables good. And Dr. Klaper and Klaus promoting the idea that a vegan diet is the savior of humanity, the savior of the planet, and the savior of all of you. I don't know about you, but I'm not buying it, Prince Khalid. I'm not buying it, Klaus. I'm not buying it, Dr. Klaper.